1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
New at 5 tonight in California, police retraced the shooter's steps back to his home only to find a gruesome discovery. The story in 4 minutes. Plus, earlier this morning, shots fired at a hotel here in Montana. We'll tell you where it all happened as police break down the scene. And we're live from the state capitol, where lawmakers say your next vacation could help reduce the budget deficit. We'll explain in less than a minute. Your ABC Montana News starts right now.
From around the big sky and your local hometown news station, this is Montana Right Now.
Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution of the United States of America was drafted for a time such as this and a president such as Trump.
Those are the words of Representative Al Green, who is one of 3 Democrats to introduce impeachment paperwork early this morning. Coming up in 7 minutes, we'll tell you what they're basing their findings on and why they're pressing the House to start impeachment hearings immediately. Good evening, I'm Taylor Chase. Ty Hawkins has the night off. While things are abuzz in the nation's capital, the same can be said for right here in Montana. Day 2 of the special session in Helena has lawmakers bringing up old issues as they still try to resolve a massive financial shortfall. Greg Lamont joins us from the Capitol. And Greg, are legislators making any progress down there?
Hi, Taylor. Well, today might be called moving day for this special session of the state legislature. Proposals have been honed, and now lawmakers are taking out their razors as they are seeing firm proposals to get rid of the state's $227 million budget. Lawmakers are looking at issues ranging from transgenders and their birth certificates to the repeal of individual and corporate income taxes. There's serious support for cutting the budget of the Montana Developmental Center. That's a place where judges send people considered a danger to themselves and others. The money cut there would go to the State Fire Suppression Fund. School block grants and grants for transportation at public schools also up for possible cuts. The big 3 facing the greatest amount of exposure to cuts are education, corrections, and the Department of Public Health and Human Services. Possibly a $49 million cut at DPHHS, which includes at least tacit support from some Democrats.
If you're going to make any meaningful type cuts, they have to be on the list because they just have such a large share of the expenditures that the state does on an annual basis. Nobody wants to cut anything. I mean, that's why government has grown over the years. It has a tendency, to grow, not go the other direction. So I'm confident that they can absorb the $49 million if they choose to. We're not going to replace computers for a year or 2. We're not going to, upgrade the motor pool.
For the most part, education has been left alone in this budget-cutting process. Instead, lawmakers are looking for ways to trim funding for programs that benefit smaller groups of individuals, such as repealing certain individual tax credits while also considering ending certain corporate income tax credits. All this while trying to raise revenues. It's really a surgical procedure for these lawmakers. Now, just like last night, they're going to be working well into tonight. And although the session was scheduled to end today, it's not. It will go into tomorrow, and tomorrow is when we're really going to start to see who's going to pay the price for a $227 million deficit. Taylor, I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Greg. And no matter what happens during this session, the outcome is bound to impact every Montanan. But what if we told you that it could impact the Treasure State's littlest citizens and their education? Our Rachel Crow-Spreadingwing sat down with the Great Falls Public Schools superintendent today as one idea floating around the Capitol could change how your child gets to school. She'll have that story in just a bit. In Missoula today, police responded to a 911 call from the DoubleTree Hotel. A guest called the police to say people were trying to milk him and that he was firing at them from inside his hotel room. No one was injured, and police made contact with the guest and cleared his room. The guest is being detained while the investigation continues. And we're learning new information tonight after authorities in Northern California say the wife of a gunman who went on a rampage Tuesday has been found dead inside their home. That brings the number of dead to 6, including the shooter, identified as Kevin Jansen Neal. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez has the latest from Los Angeles.
Investigators in Northern California now say the rampage that left 5 innocent people dead and more than a dozen injured began in the gunman's own home, saying they found the body of Kevin Neal's wife under the floorboards.
We're confident that he murdered her and literally just put her body in the floor.
Prosecutors say Neal was out on bail on an assault with a deadly weapon charge, accused of stabbing his neighbor in January. Investigators believe that neighbor may have been one of the targets Tuesday.
I think he had a desire to kill as many people as he could.
Investigators say the first calls came in at 7:54 a.m. The gunman shooting into homes, then driving to this elementary school.
And all of a sudden, one of the teachers came running out around the building, told us to all run inside. There was a shooter coming.
Authorities say Neal used a truck to ram his way through a fence and fired at least 30 rounds, leaving one student in critical condition.
That school went on lockdown. I really, truly believe that we would have had a horrific bloodbath in that school if that school hadn't taken action.
Investigators say Neal became frustrated, left the school, and drove through town, shooting people randomly. The entire community on lockdown for more than 20 minutes before officers caught up to the accused killer.
The police officer rammed the vehicle, forced it off the road, exchange of gunfire, which resulted in the shooter's death.
Neal's mother telling the Associated Press he called her a few days earlier and said, "It's all over now. I'm on a cliff and there's nowhere to go." And the sheriff's office says they've recovered 2 semi-automatic rifles Neal obtained illegally. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And it's day 3 of the Roy Scott deliberate homicide trial. Scott is accused of restraining his wife, Stephanie Wells, so hard in a bear hug he squeezed the life out of her. Today in Cascade County Court, the jury heard testimony from 5 witnesses. According to prosecutors, 2 were officers, 1 was a nurse, and 2 were forensic toxicologists from the Montana State Crime Lab. Both toxicologists explained to the jury how the chain of evidence works so that there is no way tampering with blood or urine samples is possible. Cascade County Attorney Josh Rackey says establishing this chain is extremely important to any case, but specifically for this one. It allows the jury to understand the evidence presented has not been handled incorrectly and there's no chance of it being tampered with. The trial continues tomorrow here in Great Falls. And you can find complete coverage of Roy Scott's trial on our website, kfbb.com. There you'll find links to other stories like the latest on this morning's shooting in Missoula, the most up-to-date court news, including a case where a woman is suspected of bashing a 9-year-old's head into a car dashboard, and of course, all the latest breaking news from around the nation. Be sure you're checking it out on kfbb.com and make sure you're following us on Facebook and Twitter. One more thing to add to the list of things that you'll find on our website, full forecast from Ted King. So Ted, thank you for joining us.
Hey.
What do we have to look forward to for the rest of the week?
Well, let's see. We have Friday to look forward to. The
There's one
weekend.
thing.
Right. But anyway, not a whole lot going on. Looks like the bitter cold air will stay north of the border, but it's going to be a little chillier on Friday. But
Okay.
a nice day here in Great Falls,
Yes,
though.
beautiful.
Unfortunately, not the whole region seeing the beautiful weather. Let's take a look at what's going on right now across the area, and more clouds across southern sections. And boy, I'll tell you, high temperatures were all over the place today. Great Falls, a pretty nice 47. Look at the other ones. Helen only made it to 35, while Cutbank 31. And there your forecast loads for tomorrow morning, anywhere from the teens, some communities, to the mid-30s elsewhere. Right now, a delightful 42 here in Great Falls with the clear skies. A bit of breezy out there, but that's the reason we're milder here. And calm winds there you see in Helena with 32 degrees. So overnight tonight, skies will become mostly cloudy, anywhere from the mid-teens to the mid-30s. Chance for a rain or a snow shower tomorrow, anywhere from the mid-30s to around 50. And that should say Friday, not Thursday. I don't know who did that. But anyway, snow showers are possible on Friday with temperatures in the 20s and 30s. And we'll take a look at the weekend coming up in a bit. Taylor and Rachel.
All right, thanks, Ted. And I'm joined by Rachel Crow Spreading Wings in the studio. Now, Rachel, we're recapping our top story tonight, which, of course, is the special session.
That's right. Now, just this afternoon, I spoke with Great Falls Public School Superintendent Tammy Lacey, and she told me that one thing that could be hit really hard is the school systems with these cuts.
And how so?
Well, one proposed cut actually has to do with forcing the school boards to spend money from their already strained budgets to help pay for transportation. Right now, Lacey says she's waiting for the dust to settle from these sessions so she can see the best way to move forward. Transportation is both a federal and state mandated service school districts must provide. Now, with the funding being in question, she says it's frustrating and they may have to reduce services if necessary.
Or to use reserves that we have to be able to make up that difference, or cash on hand. We are very hesitant to utilize any of our reserves in addition to what we already are to make up for the cuts that we've already made.
She adds GFPS is already hurting from the reductions made earlier this year to the school district budget, which resulted in over 20 positions being cut. Now, with all of that being said, she understands why the cuts have been made, and in the meantime, it's a hurry up and wait situation from the Capitol. In the studio, I'm Rachel Crow, Spreading Wings, Montana Right Now.
Rachel will expand on that conversation, not just with Tammy Lacey, but with the state superintendent tonight at 6, so be sure to join us for that. Plus, what led to one woman being beaten so badly that police couldn't understand her when they arrived on scene. And the Capitol Christmas tree is one step closer to making its way through central Montana. A live report from Missoula and the details on how you can catch a glimpse of the tree before it leaves Montana for good. It's all coming up in your ABC Montana News at 6. A group of House Democrats have introduced new articles of impeachment against President Trump. In a news conference today, Representative Steve Cohen of Tennessee said impeachment will energize Democrats more than Republicans ahead of next year's midterms. Today, he laid out 5 reasons why he thinks the House should take up impeachment hearings.
The first is obstruction of justice, which deals with Mr. Comey's firing. The second is a violation of the Constitution's Foreign Emolument Clause, which deals with monies he's taken from foreign powers without the consent of Congress. The third is a violation of the Domestic Emoluments Clause, which deals with monies he's made from the United States and his personal businesses beyond that of his salary, which is also forbidden by our Constitution. The fourth is undermining our federal judiciary, and the fifth is undermining freedom of the press.
Not all Democrats are on board with going so far as impeachment. Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi says while his actions are, quote, dangerous, inappropriate, and harmful, those actions do not amount to impeachable offenses. No word on if the House will officially take up the hearing. And what started as a woodworking project for a Seattle dad snowballed into a community effort with results that are nothing short of magical. Jeremy Roth has today's Take a Look at This.
A Seattle dad's woodworking project has turned into something truly magical. Jonathan Chambers built a life-size version of Diagon Alley in his driveway. It's a recreation of the magical shopping street from the Harry Potter movies. It started as a gift for his daughters, but quickly turned into a community effort. Chambers raised thousands for the project on social media, and with some help from area residents, he built it in just 17 days. Thousands have visited the Wizarding Mini World since it opened for Halloween, and Chambers is using the project's popularity to raise funds for local schools as well as pancreatic cancer research. Police in Houston are looking for 2 suspects that used a power saw to pull off a heist. A surveillance camera captured the 2 men breaking into a car dealership. Sparks flew as the men used the power saw on a safe for almost an hour. To make matters worse, the robbery took place during Hurricane Harvey, and police were unable to respond because of the flooding. The suspects eventually made off with an undisclosed amount of money. If caught, they'll face stiffer punishment for breaking in during a natural disaster. And from too late to just in the nick of time, watch as a Good Samaritan in Aurora, Colorado swoops in and pulls a visually impaired man back from train tracks mere moments before a light rail train barrels through the crossing. Thanks to the quick actions of the man, no one was injured. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Still plenty of news headed your way, including our community spotlight, where tonight we're talking with folks at Beef O'Brady's about the perfect way to watch the Brawl of the Wild and even win some prizes. But first, another phone scam hits central Montana. How you can avoid falling victim to these predators. Stay with us.